What's up guys, welcome back to the E1 Combat Boxing channel. This will actually be the final breakdown of our little series that we had for you guys. Before I jump into the breakdown of the series itself, I just want to give a shout out to Edgar. Thanks Edgar for letting me record. I'm also grateful that you gave me the opportunity to actually teach you a few things. I know that it's not always easy to step into a new environment and learn new things, especially when you had no athletic experience before. I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to work with somebody, especially this summer, because I thought that this summer I wasn't really gonna do much, but it was a very cool experience, even though my schedule was kind of tight, especially with summer school and all this work that I had to keep up with, since summer school is very fast paced. I'm grateful for that opportunity that I had this summer to be able to work with somebody like Edgar, somebody that was actually consistent throughout the series itself. I just want to give a shout out to the people that were supporting Edgar, that gave some motivation to Edgar in the comments section. I know that Edgar really needed that, especially since he's a very timid and shy guy. That was very nice of you guys, especially, you know, if you commented nice stuff. I know some of you guys were commenting some fucked up shit, and it's cool, man. I deleted some of those. They weren't really constructive criticism, they were just a bunch of insults, and who needs that, right? There's no point in me actually dealing with comments like that or dealing with people like that. Okay, so before I jump into the series, I also want to apologize for two things, right? I know some of the videos themselves were kind of blurry. Sorry, and I apologize for that. I know that it was my fault. Maybe things could have been done a little bit differently. The camera angles, I know some of the camera angles were off. Maybe I needed somebody else. Maybe I should have brought in Lewis along for this little series. I just decided to give Lewis that break, and you know, I kept on working, you know, regardless. I want to apologize for, I guess, my little camera errors. Before we jump into the good stuff of this series, we kind of need to critique ourselves a little bit. So first of all, one of the things that I really failed on was the fact that episode 8 should have been episode 1, and I mentioned it before, right? Because overall the point of this little series was to show you guys boxing right from the beginning. But like, the thing is, here's where it gets very complicated. The thing about Edgar is that he's one of those athletes that was in and out, in and out, in and out. So we've actually had time to work before. So we had work before this series itself, like maybe 3 months, but the thing is that he would be in and out, so we never really had anything stable established. That's very difficult because sometimes you want to be able to progress as an athlete, and you know, if you're doing the same drills over and over again, it gets boring. But the thing is, also as a coach, you also understand that if your athlete doesn't really get the fundamentals down, they're gonna suffer in the long run. So sometimes that was my little conflict. That's why episode 1 and 2, it looked like we kind of moved on quickly, but you know, that wasn't really the case. I was just trying to, I guess, kind of keep Edgar entertained and kind of keep the series itself entertaining as well. Me actually jumping into the drilling itself. So if most of the time I feel comfortable looking at athletes from the outside because I could fix things, right? I have a very wide view of what's actually going on. But if I'm actually drilling with you, I don't really see a lot of the things that I see from the outside. And well, I learn more from the outside. I learn looking at the whole picture, right? It's kind of difficult for me to drill and keep adjusting anything that needs to be adjusted or anything that I find is not correct. The thing with the drilling is the fact that I am not an orthodox fighter, and most of the time I like having 2 or 3 people training at the same time, because most of the time they're orthodox fighters. It's really hard for you to get a southpaw fighter and an orthodox fighter, and the thing is, most of the time athletes will be facing another orthodox fighter. There's nothing bad with learning how to defend yourself against a southpaw. I think it's more beneficial to be learning with another conventional fighter, because those are the movements that you guys are going to do most of your career, because you know, mostly everybody in the world is orthodox, so only 10% of the world is left-handed. If I'm throwing as an orthodox fighter and I'm actually a southpaw, my jab will be kind of slow. It won't be the same as if I were to be throwing a jab from the southpaw stance. I felt like I probably needed another person, man. It probably would have been a lot easier. The whole drilling thing, I just needed a conventional fighter and somebody that I could actually throw from the conventional stance. It would have been a whole lot better, and probably would have been a different series, especially because, you know, since Edgar was kind of shy, he didn't really want to get interviewed. Maybe if I would have had another person, maybe that other person would have been a little bit more outgoing, and maybe they would have liked being interviewed. Both of them would have been talking on screen themselves together. Getting to the good stuff of this series, so first of all was the learning. And every lesson kind of build upon each other, unlike the tournament series where we were just trying to, I guess, rush through things and things didn't really build on top of each other. And the thing is that you need foundation, right? It's like a structure, man. If you don't have foundation, everything else falls. So it was very easy for him to keep going and actually keep up with what was actually going on. And even though my orthodox fighting stance wasn't the best, sometimes I would pause and exaggerate movements, and he would actually kind of analyze what was going on, and then in the next lesson or the next drill that we did, he already knew kind of what to do, and he was able to pick up a few things. Second, the movements. Although Edgar was robotic in the first few episodes, some of his movements look way off, and like I mentioned before, he didn't have no athletic experience prior to this series. If you guys saw the last episode, he was really quick on those slipping movements. If you guys saw the first episode, he was kind of still using his back and not really using his hips and his legs. So for the 9th episode, he was right there actually using his hips and his waist. And if you guys saw the slip noodle drills, right, those slipping movements were a little bit more fluid than, you know, like the first few drills that you guys saw in the first episode. So that was pretty good to see some of the improvements. So shout out to Edgar for that. Third, like I mentioned before, was the support from the people. If you guys really watched and gave me constructive criticism and gave Edgar motivation, I think that was a good thing too, right? That's always nice to get some feedback, even though you know that things could have been done a whole lot better, but just to hear some positive feedback, it's always a good thing, man. You know, it was just a really good experience. Like I mentioned before, I'm just grateful to always have an opportunity to be able to work with people. I know some of you guys had different ideas on what we could do next. One of the suggestions was get somebody that already has some experience, and in the summer have a series that's more advanced, that shows you guys more advanced things like tactics and techniques. And the thing is that even if that was possible, man, sometimes people have conflicting schedules. It's very difficult for me to have people in here and train them as much as I possibly can, especially if they have work or school, or they have both, right? But it'd be cool, man, you know, to have somebody from the past work together from this point right now, and then when summer comes, show you guys more advanced techniques and tactics, you know, get away from the basic stuff. So that'd be pretty nice. But the thing is that, like I mentioned before, it's difficult, man. Another suggestion was to get girls in, and the thing is that it's hard to get girls in here because boxing is not really an appealing sport to women. Of course, you know, there are females that like, you know, boxing and combat sports, martial arts. For the most part, they're probably attracted to more, I guess, feminine stuff, like, I don't know, dancing, volleyball, stuff like that. Athletics where you don't really get punched in the face for a living, or you don't get punched over and over again just for fun, right? But the doors are always open to anybody, man. And as of right now, me and Edgar aren't really training because he's found work. Like I mentioned before, a lot of the people that I've had here, they're probably around my age or a little bit younger, and well, they want to work, want to go out there and make some money and be able to make a living of their own. As of right now, I'm not sure where things are going to go from here. I'm not sure who I'm going to get in. As of right now, I have no athletes. I don't really have anybody to train. I just kind of want to slow down the pace a little bit and get back to our regular routine, and I want to bring that Spanish channel back to life. Hopefully I can get all these projects that I need to by the end of this year done. Probably after this, you guys will probably see Lewis back on screen, and you guys will see us get back to the work itself. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys need to find us, contact information is in the description box. Till next time.